G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another episode of Wasteland Survival. So in last week's episode I began creating the room at the end of this O2H2 generator room, which will eventually become my fuel storage room. Now I did kind of voice my displeasure in the last episode about the fact that these two tanks were kind of really close together and I don't think it really looks that great. Ideally what I would like to do is basically have 1 block's worth of spacing in between these hydrogen tanks here. But if I was to do that, the only real way I could do it is either lengthen the room by 2 blocks, which if we go into this room here and just kind of have a look at the way that it's laid out, it would either it would basically add a block on the end of this and the room would kind of look different to all the rest of them. So in every single room in the base... Really? Okay, yeah. So in every single room in the base I've basically got a wall, 1 block's worth of spacing, and then 2 blocks... a wall, 1 block spacing, pillar, 2 blocks, another pillar, 2 blocks, and so on and so forth, and then until we finish at the other end where we've got another 1 block worth of spacing. So that is basically the theme that I've gone with in this entire base, and I would kind of like to keep that theme. So the only other solution I have really is to keep the room the same size and then basically move this hydrogen tank and butt it up against the wall. But again, I don't think that would look spectacular either, because as you're walking through the room, the hydrogen tank would be closer as you're walking in. So honestly, I think the best way to do this would be to actually lengthen the room. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've actually played around with this a little bit in Microsoft Excel. And I know it seems pretty crazy using Microsoft Excel to plan out these things, but bear with me and I'll see if I can kind of explain why I've done that. Alright, so here we are on my desktop, and as you can see, I've just taken a screenshot of my Excel, just so that's like cropped a bit. But yeah, you can basically see this is the old room here. So these green squares here represent the hydrogen tanks. As you can see, they are, you know, butted up against each other. Then we have the 1 block spacing in between, and then obviously we have our tanks on the other side as well. Now what I figured out through trial and error was basically by adding an additional 2 tanks and then putting a 1 block spacing in between all of them, then I can basically get the exact same format of room that I want to get. So basically, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to add in an additional 2 hydrogen tanks, but to do that we're obviously going to have to lengthen out the room by what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. So we've drilled up to about this point here, and then this, yeah, so I've drilled up to this point, so I basically need to drill out an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. And that is the reason why I have done this in Excel, because it just makes it a lot easier to kind of plan out what you're doing. It's really hard sometimes in Space Engineers to plan it out and do it all in your head. So using Excel like this makes it just that tiny touch easier. So, alright, well, without further ado, let's go back to the Wasteland and get this process started. Okay, so we are back in the Wasteland. So obviously what I need to do now is, well, first I should get myself some fuel. Oh, darn it. I could have probably got some if I was there. Actually, I might actually be able to jump into this seat here. Ah, there we go. Okay, so let us find our projector. Let's turn this thing back on. And I said 6 blocks, didn't I? So I want to go to 24 blocks. And then I just need to drill out that area. And then we should be good to go. Although I should go ahead and get myself some more fuel. Okay, so got more fuel. Now I believe when I was drilling this out, yeah, the blueprint is up all the way up there. So I'm going to have to lower it down by about... I actually don't know how many blocks I'm going to have to lower it down by, but I'm going to have to lower it down by... crikey. Probably to 1? I honestly can't remember, because it was a little while ago when I released the last episode. No, I think I need to go up 1, so it needs to go up by 0. So let's try that. So we want this to be 0. Right, let's try that and see what that looks like. Yeah, I think that is pretty much the way that I want it to go. Yeah. And then I just raised it up by 1 block so that I have like kind of a cavity in the roof. So this is where the roof should be. And then underneath that we'll have 1 block spacing. Then underneath that we'll have our piping. And then underneath that obviously we'll have our tanks. Alright, so let me get the rest of this stuff dug out and then we can continue with this room. Alright, so I'm back, and as you can see, I've drilled out the rest of it, so now we can start planning this thing out a little bit. What I'll do though is I'll get rid of this tank here, and I'm just going to run a whole bunch of blocks all the way to the wall here. Yeah, that is the right color. Like I said before, I'm not going to use local grid alignment because it's, yeah, kind of not working at the moment. So alright, and then select this color, although I don't really need to go too far up the wall to figure out if this is 1 block too short or not. Alright, so let's grab our hydrogen tanks, place 1 there, but we'll make it dark grey. We'll place another one 1 block away from that, and then another one a block away from that, and then one more a block away from that one. And there we go. So now all of our tanks are 1 block apart, and we have 1 block of spacing on either end. And then from there I can basically just go ahead and put in my pillars. Now obviously I just need to put in a floor, but that's alright, we can do that in a minute. But what I'll do though is I am going to get rid of all this stuff because I kind of want the floor to be clear. The game's lagging a little bit. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Okay, so if I drill through here, then I should reach the conveyor system, I believe. I could be wrong about that though. Let's see what happens when we do this. Ooh. We hit the wall and then we damage it. Ah, there we go. There's the conveyor system. Well, at least a conveyor system. Oh yeah, cool. So we have a... Interesting. I could really minimize this by putting in T-junctions here, eh? Because back when I built this, obviously we only had the 90-degree one, so I put a conveyor up there for each one of these, that goes underneath each one of the O2H2 generators, or the row of them. And then obviously I just put another one, but I could change... I suppose it would be the same PCU if I used it, so no, that's alright. I'll just leave it the way it is for now. Okay, so let us withdraw a whole bunch of components for those conveyor pipes, and then we should be able to get a conveyor system running. And the reason why I want to get a conveyor system running, in case you haven't seen me do this stuff before, is purely so I can basically get a cargo container happening in this room. Now, I may actually drill over to... Wait, where's that one going? I think there might actually be some more conveyor tubes over this side. Yeah, there is. So I'm going to drill all this stuff out as well. And perhaps what I'll do is I'll grab a 90-degree one, and same there, and then we'll grab our T-junction. I tell you what guys, I don't know about you, but I am loving the fact that these T-junctions are now in the game. It just makes so much more sense having them. So then we can just run our pipe all the way back. Can I reach this one? Yes, I can. And I am very impressed that this far into this game, or this far into the saves, that I have not lost my colors for my my welders and grinders and all that sort of stuff. I remember a while ago every time you change them, you would reload the game, or you would just simply pause the game, or even just change your tools, and the color of the tools would change. So that seems to have been fixed now, which I am very happy about. Okay, fantastic. So we've got our cargo container in place so that I don't need to fly ridiculous distances to get all this stuff done. But you know what? This room did end up being a lot larger than what I had planned. But what do you do? There's not much you can do. I suppose I probably could have just made it with 6 tanks. Oh well. We've done it now, so I guess at least it does really look like a fuel room, given that it's so large. You would kind of expect a gaseous storage room to be this big, maybe? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, so let's start getting this floor laid out. Okay, well that is the entire floor laid out, so I have a ton of welding to do. The reason why I add these blocks in the corner is I really don't need to. The room will be airtight if I don't, although it does connect the grids together. So it kind of helps me avoid situations where we had that air leak upstairs and yeah, where the grids weren't actually joined together and nothing was actually airtight. And in fact, I think I need to connect up some blocks up here and then... no, this is going to be the roof. Just down this side and then also this side as well. So if you are wondering why I put the cargo container here, it's basically so that I don't need to travel all the way back into the hallway to grab components and steel plates to get all this stuff welded up. Alright, well, let's start welding this stuff up. Okay, so there we have it. Now all of these steel blocks, or these, yeah, these blocks are welded up. I can't remember the name. Armor blocks, that's the one. You think after I've been playing this game for so long, I would actually remember that stuff, but yeah, alas, I don't. Okay, so what I want to do now is try and figure out where I need to drill the holes for my conveyor ports. I'm thinking I may... Alright, so let's place down a hydrogen tank here. So I think it's there. Yeah, that's pretty much where it needs to go. So I need to place a... I need to drill out... I think it's this block. So this block here. if I'm not mistaken. So that would be this block here. And then I would need to go, let's see, 1 block to the edge of the hydrogen tank, then 1 block spacing, then 1 block edge, and then drill the hole here. Is that right? Okay, so let's just check this out. So we would need to place the tank there and then there. Yep, no, that checks out, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so how many spaces is in between here? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so every 3 blocks we grind out a block. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then we grind out this one. 1, 2, 3, and then we grind out this one. Okay, so that is all of these blocks ground out. So what I'll do now is go ahead and place in all my conveyor junctions. I shall make them this color. I suppose I could use these armored conveyor tubes, although I'm not sure if the bottom of those hydrogen tanks are airtight. You know what? I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit and just check it out. So I think what I'll do is I'll just put in a reinforced conveyor tube on the bottom of each of these things, each of these holes, and then we'll kind of see how we go with that. I could even just use like a regular conveyor tube. Like, I don't even really need to use anything other than that. You know what? In fact, I'm just going to do that. Oh, no, I can't, because I can't attach it to anything. So I'm going to have to use these reinforced conveyor tubes for the simple fact that they can actually attach to the square blocks. Whereas if I was to go for a regular tube, yeah, as you can see, I can't add it. I can only add it like that. I can't... Wait. Let's try this one. Yeah, so I can't spin it the other way around. So we're going to have to add these armored conveyor tubes. That's the curved one. Alright, this is the one that we want. Okay, so let's weld all of these ones up. I'm pretty sure the bottom of the hydrogen tank should be airtight, because the vanilla one is airtight on all sides. So I've got these in the Atlas and I've got them arranged like that, and I have thrusters underneath them and they are airtight. So I assume that the warfare ones, is it the warfare ones or the industrial ones, are airtight as well. But I guess we will just have to wait and see if that is actually the case.
Energy critical.
Okay, so all of our conveyor ports are welded up. We are ready to add in our hydrogen tanks. Oh no. Have I made an error here? I think I have. Darn it. Oh, I've put these 1 block over. Alright. Let me correct that mistake. Right, so I have corrected my mistake. So if we go ahead and temporarily place our hydrogen tanks here, then they should be right up against that catwalk there, and that is the case. So along here we're going to have our wall, which shall be this color. So we'll have this go all the way across here, all the way to the end, and the same on the other side. And then at this point is when we'll start our pillars, which shall be this color. So we'll just place one there for now, just as a placeholder. So let's continue with building this room. This is going to take me a little while to get all of these walls done. Probably a lot more than what the floor did. So, and I know what you're thinking. I could probably use number one, build and repair, to get this done a lot quicker. Although, to be fair, build and repair on the stock settings doesn't really seem to be that quick at actually welding up blocks. So me actually doing it by hand is probably even faster. And then also, I could use some sort of elaborate piston setup with welders to weld, you know, with a piston to go all the way along the floor and weld all this stuff up. But to be honest, once I design that and implement it, then it's probably quicker if I just weld everything up by hand. So, alright, let's get started. Okay, well that is all of the walls done, the floor, and yeah, now we are good to go. Now, I am kind of tempted to put in the roof at this time, although I don't know if I really want to, because I want to put in the tanks, So let us go ahead and place in the tanks if I have the inventory space to do so, or if I have the materials, I should say. Now the question is, which way do I want to put them? Okay, I'll probably put them like this because we have this pipe and then this little, we've got the pipe there and then the little control panel looking thing there. So just gives it a little bit more detail and makes it look a little bit interesting. So we will place these all along here like this, and I'll place this one here, and then we'll go and do the exact same thing on the other side, except what we'll do is we'll actually spin this around and then we'll go ahead and place these down. So place it, is it there? Yep, there. And there. Okay, fantastic. So if we go up on our catwalk, how is this looking? Yep, this is looking pretty good. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. I actually need to do the pillars. So the reason why I'm not welding up the roof is because I want to just double check that I am happy with the pipes running across the top of these and that it doesn't just look silly. So yeah, that is one thing. Another thing I suppose I could do is I could run the pipes back to the walls. So that is another thing that we could do. Yeah, so I'm going to have a little bit of a play around with that. But in the meantime, I need to get these pillars done. Now, there is something else I want to discuss that is completely off topic to this room, and that is the build and repair system once again. Now, with the build and repair system, I was pretty unhappy with the speed of which it would repair items. If I am not mistaken, the mod by default is set to weld things up at 1x speed. So in essence, that is like having a stage 1 welder on your character. Now, if I was to, let's say, place a block down, so let's place a block down, and I wonder if I have a welder. I might actually manufacture one, so let's find our block tools. Alright, let's remove my regular welder, I forget what the welder is. It is a elite welder. So let's add the regular welder. I shall withdraw some steel plates for this thing. Let's withdraw some steel plates. That will do. And let's weld this thing up. So I'm pretty sure that's the speed at which the default welder goes on the build and repair system. In fact, I actually think it's a little bit slower. So now let's equip the elite welder and let's see the difference. So I would time it, but I don't really feel like doing that. So that's like, 2 seconds or something like that. Whereas this one here probably took us, what? Let's grind this down. Let's try that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5 seconds to weld that up, as opposed to like maybe 1.5 seconds to weld it up with the elite welder. So to that end, there is actually some settings that you can do to the build and repair system that aren't actually visible in the game. Now, what you need to do is you basically need to open up the global chat, and then from there you need to type /nanobars, and you've got two options. So number one, you can create a configuration file. So that's what we're doing here. We're creating configuration file. So you can set a configuration file for this specific save, or you can create a configuration file for every save that you have on your computer. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a PC settings file. So that is for every save that I have on the computer. Because if you guys haven't noticed, I actually go ahead and create an entirely new save for each episode, just in case something goes wrong and I have something to fall back on. I have some backups and things like that. So to that end, we want to type in CPSF. So if we press enter on that, then that will go ahead and add a settings file for the entire computer. Although I have already done that, so we're not going to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is go into my computer and I'll show you the settings file and where you can locate it and how you can edit it, at least for the entire computer. Okay, so here we are on the computer, and as you can see, we are in my username, app data, roaming, space engineers, storage, and then we want the mod, which is 857053359 Nanobot build and repair system, blah, blah, blah. And then what it will do is it will plop this mod settings XML document in there. So you just want to basically edit this document. And as you can see, we have a whole bunch of settings, very similar to how the Reavers mod works. So what I've gone ahead and done is I have enabled, or I have changed this value here, the welding multiplier, from 1 to 5. And then I have changed the grinding multiplier from 1 to 5 as well. So this more accurately reflects if it would have an elite welder. So it's still going to be kind of a challenge. This won't be overpowered, but it kind of means that, yeah, it just welds things a lot faster. So, you know, the Reavers still have the opportunity to destroy many blocks, because if I am not mistaken, the Nanobot build and repair system can only repair or build one block at a time. So it still has to go along and repair each block individually, whereas a Reaver can damage several blocks at a time. So it's still kind of challenging to have the Reavers in the world, and they can still do quite a lot of damage. But at the same time, it means that I don't need to build like 5 Nanobot build and repair systems for each of these control towers to obtain the same amount of welding speed, and they can repair things a lot faster. So hopefully that makes them live a lot longer while still also giving a little bit of a challenge. Although we'll see how it works out in the future, and we might change those settings later on. All right, well, let's get back to the Wasteland. Okay, so here we are back in the Wasteland. Now I'm going to basically weld up all of these hydrogen tanks just so that I can kind of see what I'm doing here. But first, before I do that, I am going to turn them off, because what I don't want to happen is, so basically the way I want to do this is I don't want these hydrogen tanks to fill with hydrogen, because I have a lot of ice in the base and I don't want that to be converted into hydrogen. So we're going to turn them all off, and hopefully that will stop all of the hydrogen from entering into these tanks here. So yeah, alright, let's get these things welded up. Okay, so that is the last tank welded up. Now, probably what I should have done was actually put the pipework underneath these tanks first, and then what I could have done is withdraw the components that I need from here for this tank, and then from here for this tank, and so on and so forth. Would have probably made the process a lot quicker rather than walking back to that cargo container. But hey, what do you do? And then maybe also what I could have done is just set up a welder to do it for me. But yeah, again, like I said, when you set up a welder, there's time taken for that, and you might as well just do it by hand. So, alright. Now, for visual purposes, I think what I'm going to do here is just add in some lights. Do I not have the components for that? That is a shame. I'm going to add some lights temporarily to the side of the room, just so that we can see what we're doing and see what things look like before we actually start worrying about the visuals of this place. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is add in these pillars, which I should have done before. So let me go ahead and add in all the pillars, and then we can add some lights to see what we're doing. I'll probably do the whole lot, and then yeah, we can basically work out this whole pipe work situation above these tanks and see if it's actually going to look any decent. Now, I must admit, at some point I am kind of tempted to go ahead and replace all of these pillars with these blocks, the beam blocks, so we could place in stuff like this. I may do one side of this room like that. Nah, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with it now, but I think I will convert a room at some stage to those blocks, and then we'll basically see how it all looks. And maybe I will convert the whole base to using those beam blocks, because I think they do look quite interesting, and it would make the base look a little bit better. Well, at least interest-wise. Okay, so that is all the lights done. Now let's modify the settings a little bit so they look a little bit nicer. Okay, so there we go. It is a little bit distracting though, having such a bright roof, but that is kind of a result of it being voxels and not actual blocks. But now we have kind of an idea of how this pipework is going to look. Now, if I remember correctly, I was going to place in like a curved conveyor pipe there. One thing, actually, let's get rid of all of the components that I have on my inventory. Yeah, also what I went ahead and done is I did actually change this room to have these beam blocks here rather than just the regular armor blocks. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Do you like it, or do you think it looks not good? So anyway, let's get started with these blocks here. Now, these end ones here, I kind of wanted there to be a pipe that ran across to the other tank here. So maybe what we can do is we can put a T-junction here. So we can go like that. Put a T-junction there as well. We're going to put a T-junction here, of course. And then one there also. In fact, we're going to have a T-junction on all of these tanks. So we'll go ahead and we'll place those in. And then what I'll do is I'll have a right angle here. We'll have another right angle here as well. Then we'll grab a pipe with a flange and we'll place that there, and then one of those there, and then a pipe without a flange, just a regular pipe. And then we'll kind of do, so I'm not sure if well, I definitely know that I want to do the same thing across this one. And then we'll go an unflanged pipe. So we could do something like that, and I think that would look alright. Now the question is, do I go ahead and put in, let's say we go for, I think this might look pretty interesting. So we'll have a flanged pipe here, and just to save myself a bit of time, I'll put the flanged end where it needs to be on every single one of these tanks, because that saves me reorientating the block every time I want to place it down. Okay, magic. Now let's move that this way and place it on the end of each of these like that. Now, honestly, the one thing that they did miss in the community update is a pipe that has a flange on both ends, very similar to this T-junction, because now this T-junction has a flange on both sides, but I don't have a flange joining up to it. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. So what I'm going to do is place a pipe junction there in between all of these tanks like this. Obviously though, I'm going to have to weld all this stuff up before I get a decent idea of how this is going to look. So we'll have our pipes with a flange here, and we'll spin that around, and then we'll have them here as well. I would ideally like to place them at the tanks here, so we've got a pipe running across that way, but the only way I could do that is by placing in this block, not this block, but basically this block here. So I would have, and I suppose I could actually do that. Maybe that might actually look a little bit better. And I just put like a piston part on top to hide the top, and the back you would never see it. So maybe we could even do that. You know what? I am going to do that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've placed in these conveyor pipe junctions on each of these tanks. I actually went ahead and decided to grind out all of the blocks in between, because I am going to change this. So I believe this flange face here is actually a lot thicker than this flange face here. So what that means is I'm going to have to place in, not these ones, but I could go ahead and place in these ones. And you can see these little metal bits here, they kind of line up with these joints here. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize these ones here. So we'll place those in like that, all along this edge and on this side as well. And then I think I know what I'm going to do for these end tanks. Now I believe what I may just do is just put a block there like that, and then basically we have ourselves a we have ourselves a way to kind of hide the fact that these junctions are on top of these tanks, and we won't see the stuff that isn't connected. So I'm probably just going to do that. Now, I don't think I will actually connect them to any sort of conveyor system. These blocks are pretty much just purely for decoration purposes, so we'll probably just live with that. Then we'll just go ahead and we'll place these ones on the walls like that. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll place our flanged conveyor pipes like this. So these ones, you can see they kind of line up with the flange fitting on here, or do they? Actually, I don't think they do, so it's more like just this flanged fitting here. So we would probably, in this case, I'll just use straight pipes, and then they line up exactly with the flange on that conveyor pipe junction. So we'll just go ahead and we'll place in all of these, and then obviously we need to place in our pipes here as well, exactly the same as like what I've done everywhere else. So we'll place these in. Awesome. Okay, so that's all those pipes done, and then we can kind of see this spider web of pipes happening here. I could even place some more here, but I think that's enough detail for this room, so we'll just see how this looks. Now what I'll do is I'll probably grab something like a piston part. So we'll grab a piston part and we'll place that on top of these tanks here. The only problem is though, maybe I might not be able to do this because we'll place them here anyway, but they might actually get too close to the roof and interfere where I want to put the lights in this room. But I guess we'll just have to kind of see what happens and play it by ear. If not, then I'll just kind of leave it and I won't worry about putting anything on top of them, because I don't think we're going to really see them anyway if we're kind of walking around in the room. It's only going to be if we're kind of flying around that we'll see them. So what I'll do is I'll get all this stuff welded up and then we'll kind of see how it looks from there. Alright guys, well as you can see I've gone ahead and I've welded all this stuff up, and I got to admit, I'm not sure if I really like it. It's just, it makes the room look too low. Like these pipes, it almost seems like you're going to bump your head on them. And it seems like if I wanted to put these pipes in, I probably should have raised up or lowered down this graded catwalk by one level. I guess I could put a set of stairs in here and then we could like sink down into the room just a little bit more, but still I don't think these pipes are going to look that great. So what I will probably do is get rid of all of these pipes that go across, and I will keep in the pipes that go to the tanks, although we're going to have to change a lot of this stuff up, and then what I'll have is just like my T-junctions here. But I guess I'm going to play around with this a little bit off camera because I'm not sure what I want to do, and I don't want to waste time or your guys' time by just going through multiple different solutions as to what I want to do. So alright, I'll see you in a moment. So I've gone through about several thousand iterations of this whole pipework thing, and honestly I was so close to scrapping it altogether and I just couldn't get anything to work and look good. So you can see here that I tried to put in some T-junctions just here and then just, you know, run some pipes across to make it look a little bit nicer. But again, that didn't look good. It all looks square and boring, and yeah, like I said, I was so close to just scrapping the idea entirely. And then I came up with this. So I think this actually looks quite good. I'm not sure why these pipes are yellow. Oh, okay, yeah, they're yellow because there's no conveyor junction there. Alright, yeah, that's why. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. There isn't really much else I can do to kind of dress that up, and that's, yeah, pretty much the direction that I'm going to take. Now, the only other real change I suppose I could make here is I could put a pipe that goes like a 90-degree angle pipe, and actually let's try that out. So we could go something like this. I could grab a 90-degree pipe like this, then we could go like that, and then we could put a pipe that goes to the wall like this. So we could do something like that to give it a bit more shape, or maybe we could put a pipe space here, so we could go like this, put in a pipe there, then grab our pipe like this, and then a pipe like that. We could do that too, and perhaps that will look a little bit nicer. It kind of makes it look a little bit nicer. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with that yet, or otherwise we could just go with this one that I've done here. But yeah, so let me complete the other side. Now I went ahead and I got rid of the catwalk because honestly it was just getting in the way, and it was a pain in the butt trying to get under it to get to this cargo container, and it was just doing my head in. Another thing that's interesting is, if you guys remember, I couldn't even place one of these graded catwalks to the door before. So why it is staying there after I have deleted the supports for it is just beyond me. But yeah, if I grind this away, just bear with me here, and then I grab a catwalk and I try and place it there, I can't do it. Like, I can't place a catwalk there because apparently it can't be attached to a door. So I don't know what is up with that, but then when I grind away the blocks that were supporting it, or supposed to be supporting it, then it's there. It doesn't fall down. So yeah, that was a bit weird. Alright, well, let me sort out these pipes and then I'll be back. Alright, well there we go, and everything is finished. What I decided to do was just make this end pipe here straight. I may change it later on if I change my mind, but I just found that little turn at the end was just a little bit funny. So at least now it actually looks half decent. The pipes going across the roof just looked absolutely terrible. At least we have a little bit more interesting things going on here, and yeah, so, but you know, as always, let me know what you guys think of it. And yeah, so now what I got to do is get started on the roof. So as I mentioned before, I would really like there to be 1 block spacing between the roof and then the room, if that makes sense. Although I'm not even sure if I actually need to do that. So what I would be able to do is place, ooh, there's some components sitting here on the floor. Let's pick those up. So as I was saying, what I should be able to do is place lights here. Oh no, I can't, because this one here would interfere with it at certain points. So the only place I could put lights would be along here and then along here, and that's not really centralized in the room, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I think I am going to have to make the roof 1 block taller than these pipes so I can put the lights in. I suppose, yeah, I don't know if there is any other way I can get around that. So, alright, well, let's get started with that. Alright, and there we have it. So the roof is now finally done. I am pretty sure that is every single block in the room done. Well, you know, with exception to the rest of the interior, but in terms of the walls and everything like that, then yeah, I think it's all done. However, you may notice that we do not have any pressure in this room. So, and I do believe I know what the cause of that issue is, but let us just confirm something here. So let's close this door and let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Now we have pressure. So we know that the leak is most definitely coming from this room, and I do believe I know why. So, if you guys remember, probably about a quarter of the way through the episode, I was placing in the armored conveyors underneath these hydrogen tanks, and I said, nah, surely these hydrogen tanks are airtight on the bottom because, you know, the vanilla ones are. Perhaps not. Although the only real way I'm going to figure that out is if I go underneath these tanks here and replace all of those with something else. But I am going to worry about that in the next episode. I'm not going to worry about it now. For the moment, what I am going to worry about is the lighting in this room. So let me try and find kind of like the midpoint in between these two. So we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks spacing. So I'm thinking maybe we'll put a light in that row and then that row. So we then have 1, 2, 3 blocks and then 1, 2. So I think that should be a reasonable amount of light spacing. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll place in our lights. Let me just make sure that I actually have the components to do that though. So we'll grab a whole bunch of construction components and then we can get these things built. So I'm thinking, yeah, like I said, I'll place them all the way along here. What did I say? Did I say I was going to place them here? Yeah, in line with these 90-degree angled tubes. So we'll do that. We'll place them here. Do I want to place it there? No, I'll place it there. Okay, magic. So they're all welded up. Now we just need to set the settings for them. Although, I do believe that I did not name... I still have some interior lights in this build that are of some random... Yeah. I don't know where these lights are. I'm going to have to figure that out at some point. But I do believe that it will be all of these lights. And to kind of confirm that theory, I will turn all of these to blue. And all of them should turn to blue. I'm not exactly sure how many of these there are, but... Yeah, that looks to be all of them. And I guess we'll figure it out later on if any of these lights that I've just changed the settings for are actually somewhere else on the base. Right, so let's try and find these ones again. So it is 286 through to 300. Alright, so we'll go 190, 215. The radius will set to, let's go for like about 11 meters for this point in time. The fall off will be 2. The intensity will be 1.2. The offset, well, let's set that to its maximum. So actually perhaps we will do about 3.5 meters. How does that look? Yeah, that doesn't actually look too bad. I may actually dull down the radius a little bit, because what I do want to do is put in some lights on the bottom here, or in these areas to, yeah, just like the, oh man, I just cannot do the words today. These lights here, these accent lights, that's what I want to know. Well, that's what I wanted to say. Alright, so let's place some accent lights in. Now I think I'll just kind of place them in the same location. It doesn't really matter where they are in relation to these tanks. Do I have them on the floor in this room? Yes, I do. Alright, so we shall go and place those in, but before I do that, I should probably rename the other ones. Cool. Alright, so they're all renamed. Now we can go ahead and start placing our accent lights in. So let us do that. I think I'll place them in roughly the same spot as what I've done with these. So for this accent light, I'll place it there. And then for the other one, I shall place it there. And so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've placed in all these accent lights, welded them all up, named them, done all that sort of stuff. So now we can toy around with the settings of these and then also the settings of the roof lights so that we can get a decent accent light happening here. So we go H2 room, front H2 tank room. I didn't think I actually had these. Oh, this is on the Atlas. Okay, alright, now I get it. Alright, so with that minor distraction out of the way, let's set these up. Alright, so we want to go 170 and then 100. Don't know what sort of radius I want to set for them. Let's just go with, like, let's say 15 meters. The fall off will set to 2. Hello. Alright, let's do that. Intensity 0.8. That's usually the intensity that I go for, and the offset will smash it out to 5 meters. And yeah, that's probably a little bit too ambitious. Although I do believe the roof lights are a little bit ambitious as well. So perhaps we can change down. Let's reduce the radius of those to, let's go with 7.5 meters, 7.5. I'll type it in because it's never really 7.5. And then maybe we'll go the intensity to 1. And these accent lights, I don't know if they are kind of, it actually doesn't look too bad. It is a little, it has a little bit more accent lighting than what it does roof lighting, but I still think I probably need to dial down the radius of these ones a little bit. So let's see what happens if we reduce this to about 12.5. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Then we have like this kind of dark patch in the middle of the room. And then we have roof lighting, we have the floor lighting, and I think it's looking pretty good. Yeah. Alright, so now I just need to go ahead and place in the catwalk, which is going to take me a little while. So let's get started on that. And then after that, I think that will be all I have time for. But yeah, I kind of wanted to get the majority of this room done before we ended this episode, so Okay, well that is all of these catwalks done. It actually didn't take me as long as what I thought to weld these things up, and honestly I am really happy with how this room turned out. It is looking absolutely awesome. I think the only thing I will change, right, is you can kind of see these pipes here are dark, so I think perhaps to get around that issue just quickly before we end this episode is let's go into the settings for these lights. H2 tank room, roof lights.
Energy low.
I may reduce the offset of these lights, so let's try 2.5 and then let's increase the radius by 8.5, and in fact let's try 10 meters. No, let's try 12 and then let's reduce the offset to maybe like nothing. Yeah, maybe I'll... Okay, so it's... The lighting is the way that I want it to be, but it is overpowering the accent lighting, and I kind of want the accent lighting to be quite strong in this room. So perhaps what we can do instead is we can dial down the intensity of these lights, or perhaps we could even reduce the fall off, so we could change that to like, you know, maybe 1.2. So let's try 1.2 and the intensity will set to 0.8, and then I think that looks a little bit nicer. So we have light, but the accent light is quite strong, and in fact the accent light is actually quite overpowering at this point, so perhaps we can dial that down as well. So H2 room H2 room, not H3 room. Accent light, these ones, right, let's dial down the intensity of these to 0.6. Okay, yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. Alright, cool. So I think that is pretty much all I have time for in this episode of a Wasteland Survival. I may come back into this room and change up the floor a little bit because it is looking a little bit boring. Although, if I'm being honest, I really don't even know what I'm going to change it to because, yeah, I don't know if you'd be looking at the floor too much, and I really have no idea what I want to change it to. But, you know, overall, I'm really happy with how this room turned out, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And if you did like this video, definitely consider leaving a like, and don't forget to subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next episode. Alright guys, I will see you next time.